This isn't just another tuned 5 Series. This is a Hartge H5 SP, a 5 Series that drank too much coffee and decided to pick a fight with the M5. In 1984, this was the most extreme 5 Series that you could buy. And unlike BMW, Hartge didn't have to worry about little things like refinement and restraint. Their main priority was that you should be able to terrify your neighbours. Let me tell you about the M5 that BMW would have designed had they done it during Oktoberfest. Hartge started life in 1971 in a small town in West Germany called Merzig. At first, they were like a mail-order Alpina. You could get the parts and build your own at home, or pay somebody to do it properly. But by 1985, they'd been granted full manufacturer status by the German government, which meant that they could issue their own VINs, making a Hartge just as legitimate as a full-on BMW. Sadly, by 2019, the money had run out and they went bankrupt. Proof, if any was needed, that building insane BMWs is not the best path towards financial stability, something that Alpina recently also found out. This car started off light as a sedate 528i, ordered in 1984 from Seawalt BMW. But before it could be delivered, it was shipped off to Griffin Motorsports, who are the official Hartge representatives, for a full makeover to H5 SP spec. What came back looked less like a 528i and more like a 5 Series that had been abusing steroids. The suspension was completely reworked, lowered, stiffened, and with Bilstein dampers built to Hartge's own spec. And of course, it came with these beautiful 11-spoke alloy wheels. Very motorsport. Then you had the full Hartge body kit, which is not for the shy and retiring. Chunky bumpers front and rear, side skirts, a meaty rear spoiler, and of course, decals. Because in the 80s, decals added at least 10 horsepower. Inside, things were subtle but purposeful, and the most important thing that will hit you straight away is this steering wheel. It was made specifically for Hartge by Momo. It's just 350 millimeters in diameter, so very small for a saloon of this size. It has a major impact, I think, on how it drives. Then you had specific instruments with their logo and their graphics, although this car retains the originals, and a Hartge gear knob. But the real magic is under the bonnet. The M30 straight 6, which was the beating heart of the 528, was almost completely re-engineered to the extent that the block was changed to that of a 3.5. Hartge fitted high compression, lightweight pistons, an extreme cam, and reworked just about everything else. The result? 268 horsepower. That's virtually the same as BMW's own M5 with its competition-derived M88 engine. Back in 1984, this wasn't just fast. It was one of the most extreme cars that you could buy. Now, BMW purists will probably say that the M5 was more sophisticated, and they're probably right. But arguably, this was the more exciting car. And because so few of these were built, it feels like each one is a secret piece of BMW history. Let's see if it's as mad as legend has it. A little bit lumpy low down, as you'd expect with that cam. Also, it has a dogleg gearbox, but apart from that, it feels pretty familiar BMW from this era. Gear change is quite graunchy. I don't know if that's a word to use for it or not, but notchy, that's what I was trying to say, graunchy. Anyway, the gear change is quite notchy. It's quite quick. I wonder if they put a sort of, I don't know, if they had a slightly quicker linkage on it. But I mean, Stephen, who owns it, was saying that it's actually remarkably civilized round town. But it's fairly warm now already, and I have to say it's you can feel that it's a tuned car. It's not that difficult to drive, but it's a little bit more recalcitrant at lower revs than a standard one of these would be, I'm sure. I think that little wheel is just so nice to hold, and it's slightly tilted at an angle, so this part of it comes towards you. and this down towards your knee, which is slightly unusual, but something you probably get used to really straight away, and is just a trait of E28 in general. Now the suspension is really quite stiff, but it's not as bad as I feared. On broken surfaces it does feel a little bit jarring, but everywhere else it's actually not too bad, and that's because this doesn't wear the ridiculous licorice tyre super massive wheels that you have in modern cars. So it's taking the edge off what I think are quite stiff spring and shocks. The straight six still retains the BMW character in terms of being just wonderfully smooth. It's 3000 RPM and it just, you know, it's just like silk. It's lovely. It's time now to take it through the gears. Hopefully the gearbox won't be too obstructive. I'm finding it a bit challenging right now. Wow, this thing has so much urge, and it seems that lower down it really doesn't. Oh God, it really goes. I'm surprised. It feels like it's got more than 270 horsepower. Like, all hell breaks loose once you hit 4,000. The engine remains completely smooth. So it's just very beguiling. It's really odd. Doesn't do much. Below that, it kind of goes, but not with any particular gusto. 4,500. Steers nicely as well. It just keeps going up towards the red line. It really wants to rev, this engine. It's a rev monster. Now, even at 60 miles an hour, you're doing 3,000 RPM, so it is extremely low geared, very sensitive to steering inputs as well. So a very different natured car to the standard 5 Series. Just want to have a look at that power delivery again. So if I go down into third, there we go. Just want to see where it really starts to pull from. So at 3,000, foot to the floor. It just keeps on increasing the thrust that comes through, but what's quite interesting is that I think there's various stages. So you hit 4 and there's a notable increase, then you hit 5 and there's another little jump. It may have a lowly steering box and there's just the tiniest amount of play off center, but it's got an incredible feel to it. There's so much coming through to you. It's telling you about every little pebble. It's really got some pace to it, and that low gearing, which wouldn't be great if you're going to be touring this, it works so well because every time you jump from one gear to the next, it's right at its peak power and it just surges forward. Honestly, it feels way quicker than it should do. You've got that wonderfully lumpy idle, which really makes you know that you're in something special. All right, let's go. It's a lovely, lovely thing, and I think that the handling is great as well. There's lots of grip. Stephen mentioned that he's got new tyres on it, and I think it would take quite a bit of effort to unstick it, despite the fact that it really does have quite a bit of power. The chassis feels really balanced. I think if it was to go, you can use the back end a little bit to play with it, and that's where it would go. But the limits for a car of this time are, you know, are really pretty high. A great car. I mean, it's like a big go-kart, this, with a lot more power. The driving position is a bit odd. I mean, I'm fine in terms of my legs. I've got plenty of space down there. But your torso, it's like the seat is pointing one way, the steering wheel is pointing another, so you feel slightly twisted. But this is where it excels. On the twists and turns, it is so good. And it is perfectly geared for being a hooligan like this. I'm also struggling a little bit to get to grips with the dogleg gearbox. Going into first, extremely notchy. Up into second, more so. The rest of the gears all feel great. Now, I've been wanting to try one of these for ages because everyone's always blathering on about the M5, but I think that this is a car which is so little known that it's interesting to be able to experience one on the road. It's definitely more aggressive than its motorsports counterpart. It's not a comfortable executive saloon anymore. I think on an M5, you could do longer journeys, and although it wouldn't be the utmost comfort, it's still quite a usable car. This, I think mainly because of the gearing, also the suspension to an extent. It's a much more aggressive car. It's also a little bit more nervous on the road as well. But the trade-off of that is that you get this fantastic chassis, which is just so playful. One thing I forgot to tell you earlier is that the brakes are also upgraded. It's got venter discs at the front, and you've got a lovely old-style heavy pedal feel with lots coming back through the pedal. Very easy to modulate. One thing maybe I would like is a little bit more engine sound. The rest of the car is just so up for it and so manic that I think that a more inspiring tune would be welcome. It's not that it sounds bad, and you know, these things are turbine smooth, but I'd just like a little bit more, either intake or even from the exhaust, just to give you that few percentage points more excitement. And the thing is, the rest of the car isn't exactly refined, so I don't think you'd be losing much by having a bit of extra noise. Now, if you wanted to buy one of these, I think that Stephen is in the near future or medium term thinking about selling. He wants to do a few little things like tidy up the engine bay, but structurally he says the car is very, very sound, one of the cleanest he's seen underneath. The E28s are famous for their rust, and this, by all accounts, is a great car because it's undergone, I think, over 500 hours of restoration. So here is the Hartge H5 SP. What started out as a very sensible 528i has become a mad monster, very much capable of taking on the M5. And in typical Hartge fashion, it was all about pushing boundaries of style, of handling, and most of all, power. It's one of those proper 80s tuners cars that still feels as mad now as it did then. And for that alone, it deserves to be remembered as one of the greats. Now, if you enjoyed this, you need to take a look at the video on the BMW M1. That's one of the best cars from this era that I've ever driven, and it has a fascinating story involving Lamborghini. Do check it out. Thank you so much to Stephen for bringing it down, and to you guys for watching. See you for the next video.